Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai. Hare Krishna, everyone. Today we are going to welcome back to Sravanam Saturday, and we are going to learn about chapter 14, text 1, 2 and 3. But before we do that, let's just seek blessings from our teachers. Om Agyanam Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yenam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shubhasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Jai. So before we start this new chapter, let me give you a brief synopsis, or let's go through the 13th chapter that we just went through. So if you all remember, in the 13th chapter, Yudhisthira woke up one morning completed his spiritual activities and then was waiting to meet his uncle and aunt, and then he gets to know from Sanjaya that they are missing, and the lamentation and sorrow suddenly hits Yudhisthira because he is not able to find Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, nor his uncle Vidura. And in that moment of sorrow and lamentation, who appears? Narad Muni. Narad Muni comes to shatter his lamentation and sorrow. And how does he do that? He tells that everyone is under the Lord's control, and life here is very temporary. Anytime you come here, you have to depart. Whenever you come to the planet Earth, you finish your activities and then you have to wind up and depart. He gave many explanations as to what of not feeling that sorrow and lamentation. He gave that jivas in this earth are like cows who are bound to a rope. Like as long as we are being bound and taken around, we are like cows. Then he says that lamentation in separation is only due to illusory affection. Very important point, that we have this illusory affection in this material world which is temporary, and because of this temporary affection we are lamenting. The main affection should be towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Yudhisthira is so worried about his uncle and aunt, that how will they manage, how will they eat, how will they survive in the kingdom without the royal facilities. Then Narad Muni says, Jivo Jivasya Jivanam. And there is one living being is food for another. Such a strong, powerful sentence. Narad Muni says that everyone in this world is taken care of by the Lord, and there is food for everyone. But if you have the human form of life, which you get after so many millions of lifetimes, the only focus should be on the Supreme Lord. This is the goal of our human life. And in the end, Narad Muni reveals the future movements of Dhritarashtra, Gandhari and Vidura. He tells Yudhisthira that they have gone to the Himalayas, where they are meditating on the Supreme Lord. Basically, Dhritarashtra was performing Ashtanga Yoga, not Bhakti Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. He was trying to control his mind by Upasantanam, Upasantatma. Then he was trying to get free from all his family attachments. He was totally absorbing himself on Lord Hari, and he was trying to get freed from the contamination of three material modes, that is goodness, passion and ignorance. So he was trying to completely focus himself on Lord Hari. But what was the result? Result after doing the Ashtanga Yoga was Dhritarashtra merged into the Supreme Being, into Brahman. He did not get prema, or he did not go back to Vaikuntha, but he actually merged into Brahman. Why? Because he was an offender. He had committed several sins. He had actually hurt pure devotees like the Pandavas. He had tried to offend them. He was always thinking of how to kill them or how to destroy their family. So because of that, he did not get to go to the Vaikuntha, even though he was performing all the needed yoga, or thinking of the Lord at the last moment. So when Yudhisthira heard about Dhritarashtra's retiring and going to Brahman Jyoti, he was worried about Gandhari. What happened to her? Can I go and get her from Himalayas? That time Narada Muni says that she's seeing her husband getting burnt into the burning into ashes, because by yoga process you can, at the time of that, you can burn yourself. She fell into that fire and went back with him. And then when Yudhisthira heard about this, he wanted to know, what about Uncle Vidura? Like, where is he? I want to get him back. So that time Narad Muni says that he was delighted as well as aggrieved at seeing the astonishing event that took place. Dhritarashtra and Gandhari retired. They went back to the Brahmajyoti, but he was a little sad because they did not get the prema. He wanted them to get prema. So then he left for his pilgrimage. So once he's gone for pilgrimage, you cannot get him back. So saying this, Narada Muni freed him from all lamentation and sorrow, because his uncles and aunts were properly situated. But he had also given one hint, that now you're seeing that everyone, one by one of your family members, is retiring. First we saw it, Bhishma retired. Now we saw Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, Vidura had left from their palace. So he had given one hint, that when the Lord is wrapping up his activities and planning to leave this planet Earth, that time you also may go along with him. That's just one hint, indirect hint he gave. He did not tell him directly that the Lord had actually already disappeared. Vidura also had not mentioned about it. Think about it. That's it. Now, starting, we come to the disappearance of Lord Krishna, chapter 14, where we get to know that the Lord had departed from this material world after finishing his activities. So let's read text 1. Suta uvacha samprastite dvarakayam.
Suta uvacha samprastite dvarakayam.
Jishna bandhu didikshaya yatum cha punya shlokasya krishnasya cha vicheshitam. Suta uvacha samprastite dvarakayam jishna bandhu didikshaya yatum cha punya shlokasya krishnasya cha vicheshtitam. You want to say?
Suta uvacha
samprastite dvarakayam just now bandhu didikshaya kyatum cha punya shlokasya krishnasya cha vichestitam. Okay, let's do word to word. Suta uvacha. Sri Suta Goswami
said,
samprastite, having gone to Dwarakayam, the city of Dwarka. Just now, Arjuna, Bandhu, friends and relatives. Didikshaya, for meeting them. Gyatum, to know. Cha, also. Punya Slokasya, of one whose glories are sung by Vedic hymns. Krishnasya, of Lord Krishna. Cha, and. Vicheshtitam, further programs of work. Shri, translation by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Sri Suta Goswami said, Arjuna went to Dwarka to see Lord Sri Krishna and other friends, and also to learn from the Lord of his next activities. Purport. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord descended to earth for the protection of the faithful and annihilation of the impious. So after the battle of Kurukshetra and establishment of Maharaj Yudhisthira, the mission of the Lord was complete. The Pandavas, especially Sri Arjuna, were eternal companions of the Lord, and therefore Arjuna went to Dwarka to hear from the Lord of his next program of work. Jai. So, Mahabharata had taken place. Krishna was there with the Pandavas all time. Then Bhishma Pitama left, and then Krishna protected Parikshit Maharaj from the Brahmastra thrown by Ashwatthama. After that, he had gone to Dwarka. So in that separation, Arjuna was like, Arjuna is a pure devotee, and as pure devotee, they are always ready to do service, always enthusiastic for some service. So with everything complete, Arjuna was in turmoil because he was eager to see the Lord and to know about the next services that are lined up for him. So he was very eager. So, and he was best friends with the Lord. So he couldn't wait to see the Lord. So here the word didikshaya is used. It actually means eagerly wanted to meet the Lord. So he left everything in Hastinapur and he left for Dwarka to meet the Lord and his friends. Imagine, he had the association of all his sons and Uncle Akrura, and he wanted to meet them all. So because he wanted to know what is the next plan of activities, but he didn't know that time that Lord was planning to depart from this world because he had finished his activities. And what was his activity? Paritranayam sadhunam vinashaya chidukshutam dharma samstha samarthana mani sambhavani yuge yuge. He had come to annihilate all the demoniac people from this world and establish Sanatan Dharma. And he had killed so many demons like Jarasandha, Shishupal, and so many other, Kauravas included. And once annihilating them and then establishing Yudhisthira Maharaj as the king of the entire Bharatvarsh, he had actually established Sanatan Dharma, the religion. Because Yudhisthira Maharaj was such a great devotee, such a dharmic personality. So after his activities, he was winding up. He had obviously decided to wind up and leave. Now, very important point is, like the sun sets in India, but the sun rises in America. Like if you know that the time difference, like if it is 9 a.m. here, it is going to be like 7 p.m. there. It's like evening there when the sun sets there. Similarly, if we are saying that the Lord is disappearing from this world, that doesn't mean he dies. It just means he's leaving this planet, he's finished his pastimes or leelas out here, and now he's going back to his own spiritual abode. And then he might want to conduct pastimes in another planet. So it does not mean that as disappearance means he's dead, like ordinary human being that we are saying that he died. No, disappearance of the Lord does not mean that. So we are going to celebrate the appearance day of the Lord soon on August 21st, but August 19th, sorry. But very few of us actually know how the Lord disappeared. Like we have to understand that what was the pastime behind the Lord's disappearance. It's a very beautiful pastime and very touching pastime. Foolish people think that the Lord was killed just by a hunter shooting at an arrow at his feet. There is many people. When I was doing my research in in Hyderabad in 2011, my professor, I had informed my professor that I'm fasting because of Janmashtami, and then so I told him that I would be leaving early. And then he said, do you know how the Lord died? So he asked me like that straight on the face, and I was like, I had no idea. I didn't even think of that question, like I didn't want to know also. So then he said that he was shot by an arrow. And that's how he died. that struck me. Like, okay, I didn't know that time whether he was telling the truth or not. But after that, I wanted to really understand why he said that, and now finally I understood the pastime. So if everyone can go to verse 11.6.35, the Prabhas Leela or Maushala Leela is very nicely explained in the purport by Srila Prabhupada. And this 11.6.35. Actually, Sri Madhvacharya has actually nicely explained it in the Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya work about how the Lord passed away. Alaka, do you want to read this? In the conclusion to his work.
In the conclusion to his work, Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya, Sri Madhvacharya Pad has written to Mausala Leela, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in order to bewilder the demons and ensure that the word of his own devotees and of the Brahmanas be maintained, created a body of material energy into which the arrow was shot. But Lord's actual four-armed form was never touched by the arrow of Jara, who is actually the Lord's devotee, Bhrigu Rishi. In a previous age, Bhrigu Muni had placed his foot on the chest of Lord Vishnu. In order to counteract the offense of improperly placing his foot in the Lord's chest, Bhrigu had taken birth as a degraded hunter. But even though a great devotee willingly accepts such a low birth, the personality of Godhead cannot tolerate seeing his devotee in such a fallen condition. Thus, the personality of Godhead arranged that at the end of Dwapar Yuga, when the Lord was winding up his manifest pastimes, his devotee Bhrigu, in the form of hunter Jara, would cast the arrow into a material body created by the Lord's illusory energy. Thus, the hunter would become remorseful, gain release from his degraded birth, and go back to Vaikuntha Loka.
Yes, so this is the main concept. It's not that Jara just shot an arrow at the Lord and then he passed away. In fact, Kshatriya, how can a Kshatriya just pass away just by an arrow being shot at the feet? And this is, so if y'all don't know Bhrigu Rishi, so there is a pastime where Bhrigu Rishi wanted to know who is most tolerant. So he first went to Shiva and kicked him, and Shivji was very, very angry by this act. He went to Brahma also, he did the same, but he was very angered. And then when he went to Vishnu and kicked him on his chest, Vishnu, instead of being angry, what did he say? He said, "Is your foot hurt? Can I give massage?" So that time Bhrigu Rishi understood that the Lord is the most compassionate, most tolerant in the entire universe. But Lakshmi Devi had got very offended by seeing this, and that's why she had made a resolution that she will never go into a Brahmana's house, ever. And because of this offense, he had to take birth of a hunter eating flesh and blood. So for years, Bhrigu Rishi had become a degraded hunter, but the Lord felt compassion for his devotee. And as a result, he had decided that at the end of Dwarka, when he's winding up his activities as mentioned, he would perform such a pastime that it's interesting that he actually made this pastime so that Jara laments, does real lamentation that, oh my goodness, I aimed the arrow at the lotus feet of the Lord, and that way he purifies himself and goes back to Godhead. So as mentioned in the purport, the Lord created this material form of body as an illusion, and Jara thought it was a deer, and he aimed at it, and it actually was the lotus feet. For Jara, it was actually the lotus feet of the Lord. And when he saw this, he started lamenting. He started saying that he has made the most biggest offense ever, and he doesn't know if he wanted the Lord's forgiveness, and he would never make this mistake again. And he started real true lamentation. And seeing this, the Lord became very kind to him and told him not to worry. And then the Vaikuntha plane came and took him back to Vaikuntha because of his real lamentation and purification. So the Lord has his own pastimes of making devotees, of purifying devotees, and then they go back. He always is there for his devotees. It really shows that. So this is, and then the real way of the real disappearance of the Lord was he just closed his eyes. He did not burn himself in mystic fire. That's just the way yogis do. Yogis, when they know the time has come and they want to leave the body, they burn themselves in mystic fire again. But the Lord doesn't have to do this, because his body, his spiritual body, is what everyone meditates on. Why would he want to burn the spiritual body? He doesn't need to. He's not like us ordinary men.
Just 5 verses before this verse, also in 13th chapter, 54, 55, also Dhritarashtra is also burning his body.
Yes, Dhritarashtra burned his body because he's a yogi. He perfected the yoga. He earned perfection. But the Lord doesn't need to do all this. So he just closed his eyes, and then in the next moment he's entering Vaikuntha. The demigods had all come to see this pastime and showered flowers, sang glories, but very few exalted devotees could see that he entered Vaikuntha. The others could not understand where did he go. Others thought he just disappeared. But exalted devotees like Shiva and Brahma could understand that the Lord had gone back to his abode. So that is the proper understanding of the disappearance of the Lord, and not the other way around, that he, like an ordinary man or ordinary human being, passed away. No. So now coming back to the verses. So Suta Goswami has informed us that Arjuna has gone to Dwarka to understand what's the next steps from Lord Krishna. Now we are going to read the second verse. Wait. Yeah. Vyatita kati chinmasas tada naya tatorjuna Dadarsha ghora rupani nimittani kurudvaha vyatita kati chinmasas tadanaya taturjuna dadarsha ghora rupani nimittani kurudvaha. So, a few months passed and Arjuna did not return. Maharaj Yudhisthira then began to observe some inauspicious omens which were fearful in themselves. So 7 months had already passed that Arjuna had gone to Dwarka, but he had not been very worried, like what happened, like why is Arjuna not coming back? And he had suddenly started seeing these inauspicious omens. So now let's read the purport. Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is ad infinitum, more powerful than the most powerful sun of our experience. Millions and billions of suns are created by him and annihilated by him within his one breathing period. In the material world, the sun is considered to be the source of all productivity and material energy, and only due to the sun can we have the necessities of life. Therefore, during the personal presence of the Lord on the earth, all paraphernalia for our peace and prosperity, especially religion and knowledge, were in full display because of the Lord's presence, just as there is a full flood of light in the presence of the glowing sun. Maharaj Yudhisthira observed some discrepancy in his kingdom, and therefore he became very anxious about Arjuna, who was long absent, and there was also no news about Dwarka's well-being. He suspected the disappearance of Lord Krishna, otherwise there would have been no possibility of fearful omens. So this purport is explaining to us the Lord Krishna's powerful. He's as powerful as all the suns total, all the suns that have been created by him. That much powerful he is. So one breathing period, so Karanadakshayi Vishnu, who is situated in the Mahatattva, in one breathing he takes in all the universes, and then in one breathe out he creates all the universes. So that means he has created all, he's creating billions and billions of suns in one breathing period. So imagine how powerful he is. So Yudhisthira Maharaj is seeing inauspicious omens. Now when there is power, you see there is light everywhere. You see there is light. But when we turn it off and when the sun sets, you'll see that the whole earth will be, the whole place will be crept in with darkness. So similarly, if the Lord disappears from a planet, he takes away all the prosperity, peace, religion and knowledge along with him. And that's why you'll see Kali Yuga elements starts creeping in, like symptoms of Kali Yuga starts creeping in. That's why the Lord, that's why Yudhisthira is seeing he's suspecting that the Lord must have disappeared. Otherwise, how come we are seeing such inauspicious omens all around his kingdom, which has never happened in his reign? So it is like Srila Prabhupada brought Krishna in the West. In the West, there was no Krishna consciousness, there was only materialism, and everyone was either quarreling. Vietnam War was going on that time, and hippie movement was in the rise that time. Everyone was very confused and lost and needed a direction. Srila Prabhupada had come to the West that time, and he brought Krishna. As soon as he brought Krishna, people started becoming happy around him. People started getting knowledge. The beautiful transformation that was brought along just because Srila Prabhupada came to the West is unimaginable. Like the transformation that was shown. So basically, Srila Prabhupada, what he did, he turned on the knob of Sattva Guna. With his morning programs, prasadam, shastra, all these paraphernalia that he brought to the West, he turned on the Sattva Guna. Because without Sattva Guna, we are not being, and if we are influenced by Rajas and Tamas, we will not be able to understand the Lord, we will not be able to meditate upon him, or even get our happiness. So Srila Prabhupada, when he came, he actually dispelled so many of the omens that are actually present during Kali Yuga. But now, with the Lord's absence, we see inauspicious omens every day. It's like we are used to it. It's like we don't even realize we are actually in the gutter, because we have been living in the gutter for so many years. Our whole lifetime has been in the gutter, so we don't think that we are in the gutter. And then text 3.
What are the inauspicious omens?
In the text 3, we will find out what are these inauspicious omens.
Prabhupada says in the Prabhupada that Maharaj Yudhisthira observes some discrepancies in his kingdom.
Yes, that will also be in text 3.
And what does Arjuna not returning have to do with any reason why?
Yeah, so the fact that he had not heard about the Dwarka Vasis or whereabouts of Dwarka, because Vidura had come, Narad Muni had come to visit them. None of them spoke anything about Dwarka. And now Arjuna is also not coming back.
Vidura came back?
Yeah, Vidura had come long back. In the previous chapters, Vidura had come, gave darshan, and then started speaking to Dhritarashtra. Vidura had gone to pilgrimage and then came back, and then he did the strong preaching to Dhritarashtra, right? So before that he had met Yudhisthira, but that time he had not told anything about Dwarka, nor did Narad Muni, who had just recently visited him. Now Arjuna has also gone there and he has not come back. So Yudhishthira Maharaj is very worried, very tensed, like he's already suspecting, because Narad Muni had already given him indirectly hint that the Lord has disappeared. So he's thinking this must be the reason, and and sadness had crept into him, because he cannot live in separation from the Lord. So in text 3 we will learn the inauspicious omens. Kalasya cha gatim raudram
कालस्य च गतिं रौद्रं
viparyastatu dharmina
विपर्यस्तर्तु धर्मिणः
papiyasim nrinam vartam
पापीयसिन्विनं वार्तं
krodha lobhan nritatmanam
क्रोधलोभान्वितात्मनां
kalasya cha gatim raudram
कालस्य च गतिं रौद्रं
viparyastatu dharmina
विपर्यस्तर्तु धर्मिणः
papiyasim nrinam vartam
पापीयसिं नृणां वार्तं
krodha lobhan nritatmanam.
क्रोधलोभान्वितात्मनां.
Translation: He saw that the direction of eternal time had changed, and this was very fearful. There were disruptions in the seasonal regularities. The people in general had become very greedy, angry, and deceitful, and he saw that they were adopting foul means of livelihood. Purport: When civilization is disconnected from the loving relation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, symptoms like changes of seasonal regulations, foul means of livelihood, greed, anger, and fraudulence become rampant. The change of seasonal regulations refers to one season's atmosphere becoming manifest in another season. For example, the rainy seasons being transferred to autumn, or the fructification of fruits and flowers from one season in another season. A godless man is invariably greedy, hungry, angry, and fraudulent. Such a man can earn his livelihood by any means, black or white. During the reign of Maharaj Yudhisthira, all the above symptoms were conspicuous by their absence. But Maharaj Yudhisthira was astonished to experience even a slight change in the godly atmosphere of his kingdom, and at once he suspected the disappearance of the Lord. Foul means of livelihood implies deviation from one's occupational duty. There are prescribed duties for everyone, such as the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishyas, and Shudra. But anyone who deviates from his prescribed duty and declares another's duty to be his own is following a foul and improper duty. A man becomes too greedy for wealth and power when he has no higher objective in life, and when he thinks that this earthly life of a few years is all in all. Ignorance is the cause for all these anomalies in human society. And to remove this ignorance, especially in this age of degradation, the powerful sun is there to distribute light in the shape of Srimad Bhagavatam. Jai. So here we are seeing all the inauspicious omens are being described by Yudhisthira. Yudhisthira actually saw this. He saw that the direction of eternal time had changed. Basically, it means that from Satya Yuga is becoming Kali Yuga. He's seeing that, and he became very fearful that the times are going to become dark now. And he's seeing seasonal irregularities. For us, seasonal irregularity is so common. We see rain in summer, winter, autumn. We don't have any issues. Like, we are so used to it. But in Yudhishthira's times, every season used to take place at the right time. Everything was completely regular. But now Yudhishthira is suddenly seeing that rain is coming in the summer, or in another, rain is being transferred to autumn, and flowers are blooming in winter or some other season. He was seeing these disruptions, and then he was also seeing his citizens, his praja. They are becoming greedy, angry, and fraudulent. And they started quarreling amongst themselves. And then he was seeing that some of the people were taking foul means of livelihood, meaning they were ready to do anything for money. Like, even if the work involved being in black, meaning black livelihoods, or breaking the regulative principles. And there is the four varnas: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishyas, and Shudra. Everyone has the natural work duties that has been prescribed, and in there, Yudhisthira Maharaj was seeing that people were trying to follow the other person's duty instead of doing their own duties properly. So we see this very commonly in Kali Yuga, that we aspire to be like rich and wealthy men, and we try to be like that instead of fulfilling our own responsibilities and duties. We want to be like heroes. In that we see even day to day, that is a very prevalent, like common symptom of Kali Yuga, that instead of doing our own dharma, we want to follow others' work. Everyone wants to be a hero. And imagine what Yudhisthira Maharaj would have thought at the current time. Like, he's just seeing a glimpse of Kali Yuga that time, and he could not bear it. That slight deviation only, he's having a panic attack, because he can't bear even a slight deviation from the Vedic principles. And that's how pure devotees are. They cannot bear any deviation from the prescribed duties. They like everything to be in order to please the Lord. A man becomes too greedy for wealth and power when he has no higher objective in life, and when he thinks that this earthly life of a few years is all in all. So people start thinking that this is it, this life is all, we don't have a next body, and as a result they are only after money and wealth, money, prosperity, peace and wealth. They are only greedy for that because they think there is this one life and we have to do that. They don't realize that they have been taking birth after birth after birth. There's so many species, and then they finally get the human form, but they do not take advantage of that. Instead, they are only after the material things of life, which will only degrade them, put them back into the animal life species. So all these symptoms that we are seeing is very common in our Kali Yuga material world that we are already deep into. In fact, for the past 2 years, we are seeing so many inauspicious omens currently. Like, people are at war, Ukraine and Russia is in war. Then we saw surprising viral surprising diseases is in the release. Like, we saw COVID-19, where we are seeing the leaders are being so greedy and they're after the other country's property. We are seeing so many wars so many countries are at cold war with each other. So all these symptoms are even just growing and growing, and we are seeing that we are getting deeper and deeper in Kali Yuga, and it will get worse. So the only way that we have is to take the light that we are receiving from Srimad Bhagavatam. So when Krishna departs this world and takes all his paraphernalia, that is knowledge, peace, prosperity, when he takes away all, and dharma also, when he takes away his paraphernalia with him when he departs, but he leaves behind one sun. So the sun sets for him, like when he leaves, but sun rises in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam in our earth. So we are supposed to take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam as much as possible to get out of this material world, or the symptoms of Kali Yuga, because we only, as Srila Prabhupada has already told us, we have only 10,000 years of 10,000 golden years where we can practice sadhana, where we can practice Krishna consciousness, because as soon as the 10,000 years is hit, Kali Yuga will full force creep into this world, and that time nobody can save us except for, in the end, Kalki, who will come to and highlight all the bandits. But so there's one story that I heard recently, that Radhanath Swami Maharaj states in his journey back home, that he was in Rishikesh. He was meditating near the water, the lake, the Ganges, and he desired to have peanuts. He desired to have peanuts, and he had received 1 rupee like someone had donated that to him while he was sitting there and meditating, and he went to get peanuts with that 1 rupee. He got a handful of peanuts, and he decided, okay, now I have got peanuts and they look delicious. So then he decided to go to his cave where he was living and have a peanut feast. So he was very excited for that. So as he was walking, a monkey came. Monkey saw that he had peanut in his hand. As soon as he saw that, monkey could not resist himself, of course, and he went and fought with Radha Swami Maharaj for the peanuts. And the fighting went for a long time, and then the monkey was victorious, and the monkey took half of his peanuts and ran away. Okay, Radha Swami Maharaj was sad, okay, but still he had some peanuts left, so he said he will manage with that. And he kept walking. And as he's walking, another monkey jumped from the tree and took the rest of the peanuts and ran away. That time it clicked on Maharaj, or he had a realization that in this world we are fighting like monkeys, quarreling for material things that are temporary, like monkeys, and what is the result? We are just getting entangled in this material world. We are like sad, we are getting sad, and we then get greedy for more, and then we want to get this property, that property, and our focus is never on the Lord. That is our supreme goal. So I found that story very important, that without thinking about these material aspects of life, we should have our goal on the Supreme Lord, on the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. How? By taking association of the Srimad Bhagavatam. That's such an important aspect. Yes. With that, I would like to end our first 3 verses of the 14th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. 1, 2, 3. First canto.
So we should take association of Bhagavatam.
To receive knowledge and maintain our Vedic principles.
Should we encourage everyone to take up Sravanam Saturday service?
Yes, it's very enlightening, because I get to read so many different pastimes of the Lord. It's very interesting, and I'll get to know more. And when you speak and give lectures like this, you learn a lot. Actually, it's like you're teaching yourself the different pastimes of the Lord when you're actually reading Srimad Bhagavatam. And it's very interesting.
That's why Lord Shiva said that I'm giving this class not for you but to glorify.
Yes, that is very true.
Okay, there are no questions on YouTube, so we can end here, I guess.
Okay, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Srila Prabhupada
Ki jai.